Well, welcome everyone to Dementia Chats. I think we're going to have a really exciting conversation today. Everybody is pretty lively. We came in kind of low, but the energy has really changed a lot in our little half-hour discussion that we kind of have prior to. For those of you that are new, this is a platform where experts actually have dementia. I think it's silly for us not to be talking to these people. They have brilliant insights to be able to help us all understand this disease much better. I'm Laurie La Bey, and I am the founder of Alzheimer's Speaks. My mother had dementia for 30 years, started in her mid-50s and lived till 86, and I am just passionate about raising everyone's voice and changing our dementia care culture. So Dementia Chats is one of my other platforms that I have. I'm going to go ahead and have everybody introduce themselves, and then we'll start with our conversation. And Susan, if you wouldn't mind giving people a little background on yourself, that would be wonderful.
I am Susan. I'm in my late 50s, but I'm not sure exactly what year. 12-year diagnosed early onset Alzheimer. I think 3 or 4 years ago, frontotemporal degeneration and PPA. I live with my sister, brother-in-law now, Oklahoma. I have 2 grown daughters and 5 grandkids. And I spend my time learning from and teaching, hopefully, others about the lived experience dementia.
Great, thank you. Brian, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, hi. I'm Brian LeBlanc from Pensacola, Florida. I was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's in 2014. I no longer work in the so-called working field, but I'm a very passionate advocate when it comes to sharing Alzheimer's, spreading education as much as I can, and making people aware of basically that people like me and a lot of the people that you're seeing on the screen with me actually can live well and exist in the same society as everyone else can.
Great, thank you. Paulan?
Hi, my name is Paulan Gordon. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was diagnosed with vascular dementia 4 years ago, and I'm involved in as many advocacy activities as I can. They include online support groups. I've done some interviews for TV and for newspaper articles. And I've also published a book called Vascular Dementia, an Inside Perspective on on Amazon.
Wonderful, thank you. Michael?
My name is Mike Ellenbogen. I am 57 years old. I am living with Alzheimer's, was diagnosed at age 49 after struggling for 10 years to get a diagnosis. Today I spend my time advocating for dementia.
Wonderful, thank you. Mary?
I'm Mary from Pennsylvania. I was diagnosed 5 or 6 years ago with young onset Alzheimer's. Since then, I'm an advocate for Alzheimer's. I'm an ambassador for Congressman Pitts and Lidditz, and I'm the National Early Stage Advisory Group. And I go around at the local hospital educating and teaching the newly diagnosed that there's still life after the diagnosis.
Wonderful, thank you. Laurie?
My name is Laurie Scherrer. I live in Pennsylvania. In August of 2013, I was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's and frontotemporal degeneration. I have a blog, it's dementiadays.com. I call it that because there's days that I am in a daze, and that's part of dementia, so that's where the name came from. I try and write a lot and advocate as much as I can, in particular to help people newly diagnosed. Like many others, it's scary, and I like to help them understand that you can live beyond dementia.
Great, thank you. Eilon?
My name is Eilon Caspi. I'm a gerontologist and dementia behavior specialist. I was personally touched by dementia. Two of my grandmothers had dementia in the last years of their life. And I'm 22 years in the aging field, and I'm here to learn from your lived experience. You are the real teachers, and to share what I learned along the way when I can. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Paulan, I'm going to go ahead and have you start us off in terms of, because I know that you might have to go because you've got some activity going on at your house with construction. And I think it's important for us to hear about. But one of the topics we had discussed prior to starting was just about kind of publicity and being filmed. And Paulan, you were just recently filmed, and that's going to be featured. And why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about that experience?
Sure. I was approached by the Nashville Public Television program to do it. They were doing a segment on dementia. They've got a series going on Aging Matters, but they came to Cincinnati and they stayed with me for about 2 days, interviewing a lot of different activities. They a personal one-on-one personal interview. They recorded some of Dementia Chats, this section that we're doing today, and this was back in March. But it will be available for viewing on June 27th at 9 p.m. Or it can also be available online at wnpt.org/Aging Matters and the Dementia tab. But it was a really good opportunity for me to share my experiences and how I live a fairly normal life. It's not all dementia related. I cook. I cook with my husband sometimes, and we just walk the dog. We go to parks, and then the rest of the time I spend a lot of my time advocating for dementia.
Wonderful. Now, we had a conversation earlier about kind of the feelings about being filmed. And Michael, I'm going to throw it to you because I know you have some strong feelings, and then we'll go to some of the others as well.
Well, I guess for me, I'm not one who likes to be filmed. And part of that comes from, I've been involved with a lot of, I guess, media already. And the one thing I don't like about the media is they're always looking for that one moment that where you're tearing, or that there's some kind of, I guess, part that's going to influence everybody else. And that's the moment that they're trying to capture. A lot of the times they make you do false things. Like I've been shot reading, I've been shot doing things in the kitchen. You'll never catch me in the kitchen. I don't cook. I don't do any of that. But that's what they want to see. That's what they want to make, visible to the public out there. So I don't like, I guess, being told what I should be doing and how I should be filmed. I mean, if you want to get me in my natural environment and film what I'm doing every day, that's fine. But it seems that when these people want you to do these things, it's not your real natural life. And to me, I have a problem with that. So I think I've now turned down a couple of documentaries. In fact, I'm in talks with one right now, and I'm always chasing them away, and I'm always pointing them to other people just because I don't want to deal with that. Part of the problem is they want to record everything that you're doing 24/7, and I deal with a lot of people that don't want to be involved with these kind of things. They're high-level people, and some of those conversations are private, and a lot of them refuse to cut away from that. They want to get you, when you sign the agreement with them, they want to capture everything. So because of that, I tend to not want to be involved with them, and it's a shame because I think they need to start respecting the individuals who are doing this, and they should not be putting the demands that they do put on people. I think it's great that they do it to make awareness, but I also think that they need to respect the people. And in my opinion, I think they take advantage of them a little bit too much. I mean, I saw what they did to Sandy. I was involved with part of some of the filming while they were around him. I just don't think that's right. I think people should be entitled to some of their privacy if they want it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting procedure. I remember being contacted by a very large, very well-known a company that was or show that wanted to feature somebody in the process of a move. and they really wanted, I mean, when just total crisis is going on, I mean, that and they wanted a camera crew and stuff coming in, and I just said, you know, as a professional, I don't recommend that. I think there's going to be enough stress going on with this move. This person was further along in the disease, and, you know, they wanted to capture kind of the caregiver crisis and how they were handling it. And I said, you know, nowadays people could take some video just off their phone that wouldn't be as intrusive. It would be just as powerful, and I think your audience would be okay versus coming in with the whole shebang. But again, if we don't let them in, we can't show them the realities. But I think that there can be a fine line between, is it real or is it not? Now, Susan, you're going through a huge process right now yourself, and you were sharing earlier with us your thoughts on that, because you're really committed to, I mean, you are all in on this, girl, in terms of sharing your life, and we all very much appreciate that. So why don't you give us your thoughts too?
Well, I think first and foremost for me personally was that I had no preconceived idea of how was going. What my concern was the producers and what was their vision, what was the angle, what were they going for. I could not sign on to anything that would be misrepresented of what life will be for me. There was my concern. And we spent a year in negotiations, just get knowing one another, because I needed to know that I have no shame or fear to share the true interaction, dichotomy, family, even the boring part of my life, now diagnosed. So once we bonded, so to speak, and we full understand one another, that's when contracts were signed, because there was a trust and I had the passion. And he had a vision that I was way beyond, because I had no preconceived idea. Mm-hmm. I believe that because I will never, ever have never, well, no, start now to be hypocrite. My big issue was, if you ask me, you say, we'd like to see what do house out, not just house. Well, that's kind of unrealistic because I not go too much. He say, don't think that. What we're really showing is the relationships you have, because you do, but how does that change from in your bedroom to outside at the park? What does that look like to your behavior, your attitude, just natural? What does that natural process, considering dementia there, what does that look like for you? So if we come in, you say, but I never cook. I don't let anybody prepare food me. So why would you film that? Then if you go your room because can't tolerate, that's exactly what we'll document. And that shows other people that some don't handle those challenges in the same way. And this is how it looked for you. That I can also share that I am not just dementia, that I am a human being that have likes and dislikes. I have humor in my life, is a inspiration to those who have been prescribed disengagement. So for me, the concept and the experience is an adventure in a positive way. at this point. I don't have a problem with showing the nuances, those ever so slightly things that sometime can no particular articulate may show, teach better vision than word.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's another medium. It's another opportunity. I am amazed anytime he shares snippets. I have absolutely no memory that he had filmed that, first of all. And second of all, I am proud. And that in itself gives purpose, life now. So life as to me, live in the moment. This moment for me have been so far a very positive experience.
That's wonderful.
I see where other can feel.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't, maybe it's the dementia or maybe it's me. I don't know, but I don't put that much thought into it. I just be.
That's wonderful. And I think you've got a director that really gets about the true authenticity of the disease and the importance of the relationships. Because, you know, he appears to be really capturing the whole person and not just an image, or, you know, he's not trying to manipulate it.
Yeah, I am not asked to script anything. There is nothing scripted. It is all just by the seat of the pants. We start to have dialogue, and what come.
Mm-hmm. And that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I've been fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would feel as good if it was any other way. I guess it was meant to be, because it feel okay.
Well, that's good. That's good. And I love how you feel empowered and proud, because that's, I mean, with any of the work that an advocate does, I don't care what you're advocating for, you should feel empowered and you should feel proud. Yeah. You know, of your work. So I think that's wonderful. Brian, now you've had some experiences with the cameras as well.
Yeah, my local news station here in Pensacola met with me about 4.5-5 months ago, and approached me and wanted to do a story. And I told them, I said, sure. I said, I'll do that. However, I would like for you to follow my progress. And she asked me why. And I said, well, for number one, to show people how people like myself, I'm 55 years of age, and I have this terminal illness, and people have so many misconceptions about what we can and cannot do, and the majority of the people think that we can't do too much. And I said, I want to show what I'm able to do right now. I said, but I want you to follow me throughout my journey. And I said, I want you to show my progression as I go. And not only me, I want you to talk to my family. I said, because I can give a certain perspective on how it affects me, but they can give the actual perspective, because before my wife left for work today, she says, I hope you have a great day. She says, I know you have a busy schedule. And I looked at her and I said, what do you mean? And she says, and she took a deep breath and she says, look at your calendar You have a lot of things going on today. And I had no idea, because I don't remember from one day to the next. And that's what this documentary is going to be showing, that even though, like Susan was just saying, that we tend to live in the moment, because that's basically all we have. We can't, we can live in the past, but we can live in the past 10 years ago, but we can't live in the past of yesterday. I don't really remember too much. I know I had an interview yesterday, but I don't really remember all that was said and all that we did. When I see it, I will. But before we went on live, and when we're talking about discussions, I feel that sometimes when people see us in this type of atmosphere, in being interviewed, they look at us like we are a strange and wonderful thing, almost like I use the term the puppy in the window. You know, they think they have this perception of how somebody with Alzheimer's or other dementia-related illnesses live, and they picture them. They picture the elderly, you know, people that are in their 70s and 80 years old. Well, none of us on this screen right now are that age. We are all living with either Alzheimer's or other dementia-related illnesses, or a combination of both. And they're kind of taken aback. It's almost like, oh my God, that person can talk, and they sound somewhat intelligent, you know. And yes, I want to get that across to people. However, I also want to show that as time goes, I want them to look back on the beginning and go through and see where I am at that point, and see what the progression has done. I mean, I'm fourth generation of this disease. I didn't know my great-grandmother, but my grandfather was the first person that I came in contact with that had Alzheimer's. And after that, my mother had Alzheimer's, and now me. But and my wife's grandmother, she also had Alzheimer's. So I've been around this disease for, you know, more than since the 80s. And I've seen what it does. I've seen the progression, and I know the trail that I'm heading down. I've already started to decline. And I don't realize exactly how much I have declined. But that's why I talk to my wife and kids, because they know that when I ask them a question about that, they're going to tell me the truth. And they're going to tell me. Now, I'm not going to remember it. I'm not going to remember what they told me. So I might ask them again a week from now or a month from now. But they just answer it like they're answering it the first time. You know, they don't hold it against me or anything like that. So the thing about the video, it has its good points and bad, and I want them to show me doing the things that I can do. And Catherine Daniel, she's the reporter that's doing the series on me, and she understands that. I think it's a wonderful thing, as long as, you know, like Michael was saying, you know, they wanted to film him in the kitchen. Well, he doesn't cook. So why do they want to showcase that and give people a false impression? You know, let's show them reality. And the reality is that we do things, but a lot of the times we're not really doing that much. You know, some of us have active lives and some not so active. And it's just, it is what it is. And I just want the reality of it all.
I
So
think what I've recognized in this process of filming too is that I gain the perceptions of my family members that many times are completely different than my own perception.
exactly.
I love the analogy of the kitchen, because the bottom line is, yes, many or some of us do not cook for a multitude of reasons. But what it also shows is if they go into the kitchen and they want to film what that looked like, and they see that, to me, that's an event and it's overwhelming and I cannot do it, and it's just too overstimulating, really. It's more of that than anything than for me. What it shows is, how does my family feel about that? How do they worry about, is Susan eating properly if she won't eat what we put in front of her? And open that dialogue up to others who maybe face the same issue of family member. We trying everything, but she, for some reason, is not grasping the help we are offering her. And we feel stuck and worried that we're not doing what we should be doing.
Yeah.
So these clips and this process is not just for the public. It's for the dichotomy we learning one another as progress. How we each perceive those change. That we may think we're very open, we discuss everything. No, we don't. No, we don't. And it's not until here, well, we just don't know what to do with her. That I hear that worry.
Yeah.
That I feel that concern, that to them, that is a huge thing. And to me, I'm over here going, oh, just please stop making me do that. We each are there, same place, complete different and feeling. If I did not see that film, I would know not. And maybe that may open the dialogue, some of the family, to say they survived this film and being share, feel raw, still love.
Yeah.
Maybe even figure a new way do. We can do too. Maybe. I know not.
I just wanted to interject a quick comment. I know other people need to speak, but what Susan was talking about whether how they make it artificial or natural and that sort of thing. When I was interviewed, the second day they came, they were going to do a one-on-one interview with me. I dressed very professionally in a suit. She did not like that. She told me after the interview, please go change into something casual for the rest of the documentary. And I thought, my point was that we are not just slobs sitting at home. We can be very professional people. So I know what you're talking about with that. It bothers me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you want to present your image of who you are, and it's well-rounded. It's multifaceted, just like everybody else. You know, you have your good days, your bad days, your great moods, your bad moods. I mean, you know, all of those things haven't changed. It's just the way they come out sometimes may have changed, but you still have all of those variables. And I think even in today, I mean, I just look at the screen before me. I think people are just going to be shocked looking at these young faces and how articulate each one of you is regarding your life and your story, because I think that's I think, Susan, it was you that said, you know, maybe this medium will help when people can actually see, not just hear a voice on a radio or a recording, but actually physically see who you are. Then it's undeniable. They can't erase that image of who you are, and they're picking up not only on your voice, but they're picking up on all your nonverbals, your smiles, your sadness, whatever it is, all of your reactions as well, which is something we all have to learn to do better. In our fast-paced world, sometimes we push those things aside and we don't take the time to really engage on all those levels. So I do want to ask Mary, I'm not sure if you have been filmed. I know that you're a great, wonderful advocate and speaker. What are your thoughts on all of this, and have you been involved in any filming?
I was only involved with filming a couple of times, but it was only like for a couple of hours. It wasn't all day. And they were surprised at how much I do. They didn't think that someone with Alzheimer's could do it. They recorded me making a quilt, and that was my first quilt I ever did, and they couldn't understand. Well, I had to keep watching the video on YouTube of how to do it, and it took me longer, but I still could do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and how powerful is that? To hear those words, because the impact you're having. You're changing perceptions in an instant. You're changing perceptions, and we need a lot of those instants, and we need a lot of voices, so that people are getting kind of bombarded by this. I know Eilon had mentioned earlier, he'd like to see this kind of concept, all over the world, and we need voices all over talking, and not just talking, but being seen and actually heard, actually understood, and felt with compassion for lifestyles.
I want to add something, Laurie.
Mm-hmm.
So in Canada, there's a University of Waterloo. There's an organization called MAREP, which is a Murray Alzheimer's Research and Education program. Very innovative in their thinking, and they have a concept that they published in 2011. I can share the citation soon, the chat box or later. And the term they're using is authentic partnerships. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big piece that we're missing in many intersections when we're discussing really professionals, researchers, policymakers, family members, director staff, home health aides, etc., administrators, to involve people with dementia at every stage, not only on every committee, as Michael and all of you advocate on a daily basis. Nothing about us without us. I love that slogan. I love that movement. But at every stage of a process, doesn't matter if it's a research study, to plan it together with people with dementia, to ask them what are their pressing needs, not us professionals or researchers assuming what are the pressing needs, and to do it genuinely at every stage of the process, including before publication, going back to the people with dementia and asking them, the members check, it's called, or the validity, to ask them, does it really represent your voice, what we're writing here? That's just an example in research, but it has to do also with any planning of programming and services and support systems and other campaigns. And there's a beautiful article that describes the process that they went through at University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada. And I just love that term, authentic partnership. And that's kind of a yardstick. Is it really authentic? Do we really involve the people with dementia? And are there equal partners in the story, or even leading partners in the story? And I think that's every organization that claims to be dementia friendly needs to be evaluated based on this criteria. And I can share the citation in the chat box.
Okay. I love that authentic partnership. And I guess, I look at that's kind of what Alzheimer's Speaks was almost based on, was really being true to everyone and allowing everyone to participate. Michael, you had a comment.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Susan kind of touched on this, and it actually brought something out that I think these interviews sometimes can be beneficial. There was one of my first interviews, it was with Fox, and I will never forget that day. They actually asked my daughter a question, and it was related to how she felt about me. And it actually made me feel that I learned something new because of what the producer had asked the question to my daughter that I never even thought to ask my daughter. And I learned something new because of it, which I carry it with me every day now because of that. So there are some benefits, depending on what they do, that we sometimes benefit from, not necessarily the public itself, because they're going to ask the questions that we may not think of. And it's really something else when you get your families involved and you hear some of those interviews.
Yeah, I agree because, with this disease, as we all know, you're not the only one affected. I mean, each one of you has a massive ripple effect way beyond, just your immediate family. And that's one of the things that bothers me with the statistics. And I'm not even sure what they're quoting these days, but I know they said at one time for every person who's affected, they affect 6 to 7 people. And it's like, well, we all have a bigger ring than that. We have a much larger effect in the world. I am going to note that Linda is with us, and she is a caregiver for her husband, Lee. And she just noted that they were interviewed about 3 years ago when he was still pretty active. And she said at that time he loved taking walks and just being out in the community. But she's noting that she thought Brian's concept of continuing to follow somebody through the progression is really a good one. And I agree with that. I think it can be a difficult and pressing thing, because you lose your privacy. But the learning scale for the rest of the world is absolutely massive. And so I just think that's very, very neat. Laurie, I want to get to you, and because you're just such a powerful advocate as well, in speaking in all the different types of things you do. But I don't know if you've been filmed or not, or what you're feeling.
I have not been filmed. But I do want to say I've been with Susan when she was filmed, and I totally admire what she is doing. I was with her for 2 days as I watched the camera team walking around with constant this mic in her mouth and filming going on. And it's like, okay, everybody else get out of the way because you're filming Susan, and it was just the number of times that they'd interrupt her when she was doing something for her to get filmed on something. She has really gone out of her way and given up a lot of her regular life to be involved in this. And I appreciate what you're doing because the clips are helpful for family members and for people with dementia. So kudos to you, Susan. I personally would not want to be followed around 24/7 like that. When you have to say to the cameraman, excuse me, I have to go pee.
You just remember to turn the mic off.
It was very interesting to see, but I admire what she's doing.
But Laurie, I'd like to say that that you say you've never been filmed, but every time you're on here, you're being filmed.
There you go.
Yeah, I just don't have them following me everywhere I go.
Yeah, well, and this platform is just really a nice way to, be able to not be intrusive, and you're here voluntarily, and, if you're having a bad day or whatever, you don't have to participate, or if your internet is goofy. One of the things, though, that I think that I picked up when Laurie made the comment about watching Susan was the comment of how she's interrupted all the time. And that's got to be a little testing too, because just in talking with all of you, you talk about losing train of thought and trying to finish a process and things. So Susan, has that been difficult for you, or do you just kind of go on to the next thing? You talk about living in the moment, and
Well, the experience that Laurie refers to, we were at a conference, and there was a lot of people there and a lot of external stimulus. I don't remember being interrupted. I vaguely remember them even being there. When home, it is not the way. He used a phrase, fly on the wall. And when we are in a group, family or out, I don't pay any attention to him unless he actually says specifically, I'd like right now to ask you a question. Otherwise, he's part of a crowd. It does not affect me that way. If he had a black mask on and I thought was a burglar, I would probably be alarmed. But in my world, in my mind, everyone is a friend.
Okay.
So I don't have that kind of thing, doesn't resonate with me. I just don't. To me, it's not about me. It's about the experience. So I don't think about it. I just don't think about it. I think about the wonderful opportunity to meet Laurie face-to-face, sit, have a cocktail, share a story, a hug, beyond I can't reach you through Karina here. That's what memory make me. I don't have the other memories. But that's a good point. I could see someone maybe not same mindset would think, what the hell, get away from me. I don't have that. I've not had that experience. And if we do see the big fluffy mic, we joke about it.
Yeah, what did you name the microphone with the fuzzy thing on it?
That's the spit catcher. So I spit on it every time. And we just laugh and go on. It's no big deal.
Well, that's wonderful. Paulan, for you, when you were being filmed, did you feel like you were being interrupted or, switching gears? Did it interfere with who you were or what you were doing?
Well, I didn't feel it that much, but they did ask me to do things that I don't normally do, like cook dinner. I don't cook dinner. Well, so my husband and I put together some spaghetti or something. But I thought, this is not something I normally do. And again, like I said, I didn't like them telling me to change my clothes. That really bothered me. I thought, why do I have to change my clothes to be what you want me to look like?
Yeah.
You should kind of wear what you feel comfortable wearing.
Well, yeah. I told my guys they're going to see probably me the pajamas more than they care to. So I have been completely honest about there may be days that I don't dress. Nobody tells me to get dressed. I have no place to go. I do not think. Days mesh one after other. The only cue have would be look at hamper. Oh, there's no clothes there. Oh. If someone does not tell me to bathe today, that's not going to happen. So being very clear about when I do go out, I will always look nice. It's who I know always be. But here of late, when don't go job, don't have visitor, the likelihood is you will see me in my pajamas. Sorry if I offend you, but that's the way it is.
Can I add something, Laurie?
Sure.
I think that some of you echoed this, conveyed this earlier. When filmmakers or journalists approach you, as some of you are already doing, you can set the terms in advance. And of course, they can always, we know that some journalists will take it to what their agenda is, and they're going to turn it around or take it out of context. That's always going to be, in many situations with journalists, that's going to be the case. But you can decide to, as one of you said, to build the relationship, to set expectations, to say the way you want it to take place, and then to have maybe a good friend with you or a family member, somebody to kind of make sure that that's actually taking place, and to say, that's not what we agreed upon, and I really want you to look at those parts, because that's the authentic partnership, and they should respect that.
Yeah, they should. Not all will. Everybody's, but that's in all businesses. You have some people that are very authentic and true to their word, and others that are not. Michael, you had a comment?
I have found that doesn't hold true. Most have their own mindset of what they want to do, and they're going to do it. In fact, you have to sign off releases with them that you're going to allow them to do pretty much what they want to do. You don't have a choice in what they end up showing. I mean, I've battled with one already because they were going to put something in that I did not want them to put in. You can't win. You pretty much sign your life away when you do these things, and I'll tell you, I have found that a lot of them were very dishonest. They'll tell you, oh, yeah, we can do this and do this. But in the end result, no, they end up doing what they want to do. So, I was at the Washington, D.C. 2 years ago, and I had them following me. I didn't want them near me. I told them they have to do everything from a distance. They could not interrupt everything. Well, they ended up interrupting things. They didn't listen. And I walked away from them. I told them, hey, you're not following me. That's it. So the bottom line is they will do what they want to do, and there's nothing you can do if you're going to really want to be involved with this. Believe me, I've learned the hard way with them.
Yeah, their releases are pretty all-encompassing.
My release was about 10-page long, and we did not go to the table, so to speak, sign a thing for a year. Because that did not mean there wasn't some filming going on. It's because we were building a relationship. And I did know, not that time, in retrospect now can see, that he needed to know how authentic I was as much as I need to know how authentic he is. And we each set some groundwork. What's your goal? Well, we all know that documentaries fairly often never make a dime. They do it as a humanitarian effort. That still does not give free rein to just depict their image or their sight toward issue. So it took a year for us to connect on a level where we both understood what this project was about, who it would impact, hopeful, where it may or may not go, each other's vision toward that honesty that it need to depict. And filming and documentaries and all those I've had articles written. More often than not, the journalists are the ones take words and total twist. And you read it and go, I did not even implicate that. What are saying there? And it's offensive, and it's a make no one do. It's a lie. And I'm not, I tell my producer I'm a whore and a thief, but I'm not a liar.
Well, one of the
follow that up, Laurie.
Yeah, one of the things that I love about your story, Susan, is with both you and your family and your director was, I think you had a meeting of the minds of, we don't really know what this is going to be.
Right.
And so there wasn't this mission that was going to be pushed. And I think a lot of times it can, if it's a journalist or if it's a director, it can be pushed. This is what we want. this is what we're going for, and this is what we're going to get, no matter if it's right, wrong, or whatever. And you guys really, I love that idea of we got to know one another. We got to see, are we both authentic? Is this going to work? And I think that's why it's been so powerful, you know, what you're doing and the clips that people have seen. Brian, you had a comment, I think?
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, we've all seen the so-called reality TV shows, you know, which in essence, they're the least reality. Then, you know, they're scripted, they're told what to do, what not to do, what to say, and so forth. And I think that we are the anti non-reality, because we actually want to show the reality of us. We want to show what reality really is. Unfortunately, the reality is a little more boring than the non-reality, but that's what our lives are. I'm not saying that we all live boring lives. I'm just saying that sometimes, like Michael was saying, you know, if the camera wants to follow me around sitting at my computer or, you know, talking on the phone, that's what I do. If they want to follow Susan around sitting in her pajamas all day, you know, I'm still in my pajamas, you know, so that's what I'm comfortable in. If I don't have to change clothes, I'm not going to. I do have a reminder on my phone to take a bath every day, because if not, I wouldn't do it, because I don't remember when the last time I bathed, unless I follow it on my phone. So those type of things, I want people to see reality when they see me. I don't want them to see a puff piece, basically. I want them to see what it's really like for me to go through what I'm going through.
Yeah. And I think
reality is that our lives, even when we were all working, were pretty boring.
Yeah.
You got up, you got dressed, you went to work, you came home, you cooked dinner, you did the laundry, you went to bed. What'd you do the next day? You got up, you know, in comparison, my life is a lot different, boring. I mean, my life was exciting and full and everything, but to someone outside of me, it was, well, what did she do? She got up, she went to work. You know what I mean? So I think the reason they want to see people in their boring life is because boring is subjective. What's boring to you may not be boring to somebody else.
Right.
Our lives generally, except for those exciting moments you have, like on July 11th when I go skydiving, those exciting moments that you have, life in generally is not all day, oh, wow, hey, wow, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. That's just not life.
I may be going skydiving also, Laurie. I know.
Coming out, countdown time.
So I want to share a quick story. 20 years ago, the late Professor Tom Kitwood in Bradford Dementia Group in the UK wrote the groundbreaking book, Dementia Reconsidered, The Person Comes First. He had a day program for people with dementia, and it was a very successful program. He was asked by an agency in the community that were trying to do a campaign related to people with dementia. He was asked to take and share pictures of people with dementia at the day program. He sent the pictures. He got consent from the person and or from the family members. He sent the pictures. The pictures were rejected. And the reason why the pictures were rejected is because the people with dementia in the pictures were happy.
Oh my God.
Imagine that.
Yeah, they did not convey the widely held perception of people with dementia who have to be only depressed and have life without meaning and purpose and a reason to wake up in the morning. And that's how he starts the book, actually, with this little story where actually he demonstrated success with bringing positive emotional states, psychological well-being, and quality of life to these individuals, but it was just rejected. So.
Wow. Interesting. Well, I'm just, we're at the tail end here, and so I'm just going to give everybody an opportunity if there's anything that you still want to cover that we haven't so far. And Susan, I'm going to start with you.
Remember, if you're approached to do any kind of advocating work on any platform, try to remember that what you may think is non-influential or boring or mundane might not be. That may just be your own perception. Share, 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 so that we can change that idea about what others expect us.
Great, thank you. Brian, anything you'd like to add?
Don't judge the book by the cover. Because like I said before, and the saying is, when you meet one person with Alzheimer's or dementia, you've met one person with Alzheimer's and dementia. We're all different. We all have different personalities, but we're still us. We're still able to live fully, or sometimes semi, but we're still able to do things.
But I think, Brian, if I may interject, I think there's an exception to the rule with the cover of the book, and it's Michael's book. He's still managing a lot of things. I know maybe not same capacity and adjusted, but he's still managing a lot of things in high levels. And I love that picture on his book, on his front of his book. Anyways, just wanted to.
Okay.
Michael breaks the mold in a lot of ways, but in a good way.
Yep.
Okay, Mary, I guess you got a wig and tail there.
I had to get her out. She kept crying and yelling for me. Now I just lost my train of thought.
It's all right. Come back.
Yeah, I can't think of it this second.
Okay.
You still have a lot to offer to society, and you still can enjoy life even with the diagnosis.
Great. Thank you. Michael?
No comment.
No comment? That's a rare one. Note that one down. Paulan, how about you?
I just learned a lot from this discussion. I mean, this was my first filming opportunity, and I'll continue to proceed in those, but I will follow Susan's example of negotiating the terms and the conditions, because I think that's really, really important.
Mm-hmm. Laurie?
I think I want to, hopefully by viewing this, people will see that we laugh. And although we have dementia, we still have a lot of fun and a lot of fun times. The perception of people being so sad and miserable with dementia frequently come from nursing homes. And I used to visit my mother in a nursing home, and I was sad and depressed, and I wasn't staying there. So I think we have a lot of fun, a lot of life, and still a lot of things we can do. The difference is we might have to read the instructions 20 times before we can do one item, whether it's sewing, quilting, whatever. But if we hang in very often with some help, we can accomplish a lot of things.
Okay, great. Eilon, and will you also just reference, you put your reference in the chat box, but do you want to just read that to everybody too?
To read the citation?
Yeah, for the authentic partnerships and contacts there.
So University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada, has an organization called MAREP. That's the acronym, and it stands for Murray Alzheimer's Research and Education Program. They're very innovative in their thinking, and the testament for that is that they are committed to bringing people with dementia at every stage of every project they're doing, and they're using the term authentic partnerships. And the name of the publication, which I love this article by Sherry Dupuy, I probably don't pronounce her last name well, from 2011. And it's called Moving Beyond Patient and Client Approaches, Mobilizing Authentic Partnerships in Dementia Care, Support, and Services. And there's a link there. I don't know if there's a way, I don't know if it's recorded or not, but we can share it later with those interested. The abstract, and really bringing people with dementia at every stage of every process. Nothing about us without us. And I think that for me, a great service that could come out of today's session is if this session could be shared with journalism schools and with journalists and different outlets of press outlets and newspapers and TV to kind of socialize and familiarize and educate journalists and editors about what are your expectations when there is an engagement, when there's an involvement and partnership, and hope that as a journey, eventually it will be an authentic partnership as well. Great.
Thank you. Paulan, do you want to give one last plug for the Nashville TV show that's going to be up?
Sure. The Nashville Public Broadcasting Show is going to be airing on public television in Nashville on June 27th at 9 p.m. For most of us, we won't be able to see that, but the website, it will be online after it airs at wnpt.org/Aging Matters and the Dementia tab. And that will include not just interviews with me, but it will include a lot of interviews with a lot of people.
Wonderful. Well, once again, I want to thank everybody for participating today, and for our audience as well. I just find your voice fascinating, and I so appreciate all that you guys are doing for the world. And I truly feel like here on Dementia Chats that we do have an authentic partnership, and thank you.
Thank you, Laurie.
Have a good one now. Bye-bye.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.